Love is our true divine nature, and our heart serves as the intersection of the spiritual and physical, connecting our soul with our body as the conduit for anchoring our divinity onto the earth plane. Embodying our divinity is the key to our ascension and to manifesting our highest destiny in this life. The teachings of the heart are alchemy. Join spiritual mentor and channel Jennifer Spor each week on a sacred journey to lift the veil to remembering your divinity and meet other beautiful souls who are living the path of the awakened heart. I've been spending quite a bit of time lately in contemplation, really just feeling into, what do I most stand for? The one thing more than anything. And to be honest with you, it hasn't changed. The one thing that I stand for more than anything is that for us to impact the greatest change in the world, that happens from knowing the truth of who we are and living embodied in that knowing. Personal development has become a billion-dollar industry based upon seeking and inquiring insight outside of ourselves. And although there is a time and space for seeking and discovering more about who you are, we reach a place on our journey where there is no more need for seeking. It then becomes, how do you apply that truth of who you are through your day-to-day lived reality? And most mentorship spaces, many mentorship spaces teach the concept of embodiment, but there are very few that hold the support of structures to help you bring the truth of who you are into your day-to-day life. And yes, this is the work that I do. I support mission-led women in living embodied in that truth, in the truth of who they are through their mission work and through every area of their life. I'm not here to talk about, my work specifically. I'm here today to, although I provide those structures, what I'm here to share with you is that whether you work with me or you embark on this journey on your own, or you receive the support of someone else, this is the answer to moving the needle in your own life and that of the world. Our human mind, would have us believe that the answer to changing the world and to our own evolution has to be more complicated, but it really isn't. It is our ability to embody that truth that really brings forward physical shifts and physical change that we desire. We as a collective, as humanity, are truly at a threshold right now. We are truly at a crossroads, a threshold where we can converge and evolve and unify, or continue to diverge, right? To become even more divided than we already are today. And the thing is that each one of us gets to choose consciously which path we desire. And we're living in a time of great information and technology, which is very exciting that we have access to all of what we do in terms of information and how we are able to communicate with each other. But especially with the, surfacing of AI as a mainstream tool, especially over the last couple of years or so, it is very telling in terms of how some are choosing to, give to continue to give their power away to technology and media and external sources for answers and information. And there are some people that are choosing from a sovereign space in, accessing information and really understanding how technology can be used more consciously to contribute to greater change and greater evolution. So it is a very interesting time that we live in, and it reminds me of the time of Atlantis, right? Because uh, Atlantis as a civilization had access to very advanced technologies, and those technologies were used for good for a long time. And then gradually, more and more beings were beginning to use access to those technologies for ego-based means, and there was an abuse of power, and that is, one of the things that ultimately led to the fall of that civilization. So, in talking about this, I feel guided to also speak more on, what it means, right, to uh, be a divine human, to live embodied in our divinity. And, when I say divine human, like we're all divine, right? No matter what. But when it comes to living embodied in your divinity, it's not about, because in order to be good, you have to be perfect, or you have to be agreeable, or you have to live perfectly aligned. Um, which a lot of the world will tell you has to be the case. Living embodied in your divinity is about embracing your humanity, embracing your own imperfections, just as much as it is about uh, being in close relationship with God, right? We are conditioned within many familial and societal structures that we have to muscle through a lot of our life and, be positive, which it is important to be positive. But what's more important is that you're allowing yourself to live authentically, and that when you feel like you're having a crappy day, or you're depressed, or you're sad, or you're grieving, that you're embracing in your body those experiences and allowing those experiences to move through you as much as you are when you're feeling joy and happiness. This contributes greatly to our ability to physically live the truth of who we are, more of the truth of who we are in our day to day. So it's not about being perfect, it's about being real. And then looking at, the realness of you. How is that currently translating in your mission work, in your leadership, in your relationships, and in your life? Living embodied as your authentic self and in the truth of who you are requires a solid foundation. And again, this isn't complicated. It's actually profoundly simple, because it's not about perfection, it's about how you're choosing to consistently show up for yourself in your day to day. So some of my own practices I'll share. One is Meditation. Meditation is fundamental for me, and it isn't guided meditation. It is really just carving out the space, only 10 to 20 minutes a day in the mornings to be in stillness, to hear myself, my oversoul, to hear and feel myself in my body. And that is when I experience a lot of divine downloads, actually, is when I'm carving out the space to just be with myself in stillness. And of course, prayer and being in communion with God and feeling that connection in my body is something very important for me to do daily, as well as being in stillness and connection with the earth as well. As we are heaven and earth, right? We are divine beings in this body, and so maintaining an intimate connection um, in that respect is just so important. And really, those are the most fundamental pieces of establishing a solid foundation. And then, beyond that, it is being physically tapped in to what your truth feels like for you in your body. And then throughout your day, making your decisions in your work in every area of your life from the space of how that feels in your body is truly your most accurate navigation system to living embodied as who you are. And when we establish those foundations and we show up as ourselves, again, we inspire others to see, to feel, and to know what is possible. And the world truly changes when each one of us rise, when we stand, and when we stay. And so, with all that I've talked about today, I really want to leave you with one question, and that is what you know as the truth of who you are congruent with how you're currently living your life? And if not, where do you feel in your body that change is calling? I'd love for you to leave a comment or review and let me know how this episode landed for you. And as I said earlier, this is the kind of work that happens in my mentorship spaces. So if you are feeling called to be held in support, to bring more of the truth of who you are into your embodied physical reality, I invite you to connect with me for a chat and we can explore how we may work together. And I will include a link to connect for that conversation in the show notes. Sending you big love. Thank you for listening to Path of the Awakened Heart. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or pathoftheawakenedheart.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about living with an awakened heart and navigating your ascension journey, visit me at jenniferspor.com.